My own brother looked me in the eyes at his wedding and said, "Stand near the wall." He had given my seat to a man who was secretly trying to take control of my family's company. I thought I was being humiliated. I didn't know yet that the wall behind me was hiding the one document that could destroy his entire plan. So I stayed. I watched. And when the truth finally came out, the person who told me to stand near the wall was the one who had nowhere left to stand. Would you have stayed quiet and watched, or confronted him immediately? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe for more stories where betrayal comes with consequences. The first thing my brother took from me at his wedding was not my seat. It was my ability to trust him. My name is Mara Quinley. I am 36, a compliance auditor, and the person in my family who reads documents before signing them. My younger brother, Soren, is 29. He is warm, impulsive, and too willing to trust confident people. His bride, Vesper Lorne, is 32, composed and observant. Then there was Damaris Voss, Vesper's uncle. He was the man everyone greeted first at Bellwether House. Bellwether House was an old lakeside hotel 3 hours from home. Vesper's family had celebrated important occasions there. I arrived Friday afternoon with a dark leather folder. That folder mattered more than anyone knew. My mother had died 2 years earlier. Before she died, she gave me company records belonging to Quinley Maritime Holdings, the business she had built with my father. Soren and I had inherited it together. She made me promise one thing. If someone asks you to sign something at Bellwether House, she had said, read it twice. I thought she was being overly cautious. By 6, I understood why. I entered the reception hall and stopped. My place card was missing. I checked the table again. Soren's name was there. Vesper's parents were there. Her uncle Damaris sat 3 places from the center. My chair was gone. I found Soren near the bar. Where is my seat? He looked over my shoulder. Oh, Damaris needed it. I thought he was joking. He needed my chair? He has some investors here. So give him another chair. Soren lowered his voice. Mara, please. Don't make tonight difficult. What are you asking me to do? He pointed toward the side of the room. 6 empty chairs stood against the wall. Stand there for a while. I laughed once. At your wedding? It's temporary. You moved my seat for an investor? Just until dinner. I looked at Damaris. He was already watching us, and then he lifted his glass. I walked away. I did not stand near the wall. I went through the service doors and into the kitchen corridor. At the end of it, I called Juno Bellwether. Juno was the hotel's operations manager and had known my mother for more than 20 years. She answered on the 3rd ring. You're here. Yes. How is it? Strange. My seat was removed. There was a pause. By whom? I was told Damaris needed it. Did you bring the folder? I looked down at the leather case. Yes. Her voice changed. Then don't leave the hotel. I frowned. Why? Your mother warned me this might happen. My stomach tightened. What did she tell you? Juno was quiet. She said that if you ever came to Bellwether House carrying those records, someone would be trying to move something without your approval. Through the glass doors, I saw Damaris speaking to 3 men in dark suits. Soren stood beside them. What is he trying to move? I don't know, Juno said. But I saw a conference room scheduled this afternoon. What kind? A shareholder meeting. I straightened. What? It is booked for tomorrow morning. Who authorized it? I can't tell you over the phone. Come to the archive room. I went back inside. On my way there, Vesper stepped in front of me. She was still wearing her rehearsal dinner dress, but her confident expression was gone. Are you angry with Soren? Yes. I didn't know he was going to do that. Move my seat. She nodded. I studied her face. Did your uncle tell him to? She hesitated. That was enough. My uncle asked Soren to make room. For whom? Some people he wanted to impress. Investors? That's what he said. Do you know what they're investing in? She didn't answer. Then someone called her name. She turned. I have to go. She paused at the door. Please don't leave. That was the 2nd time someone had told me not to leave. The archive room was behind the hotel's administrative office. Juno was waiting with a ring of keys. She unlocked the door. Inside were shelves of contracts, property records, and corporate correspondence. Juno pulled a file from the back shelf. This came in yesterday.
She handed it to me.
The first page was a hotel rental agreement. The second showed a conference room reservation. The third stopped me. It listed tomorrow's event as Special Shareholder Meeting, Quenley Maritime Holdings. My name was not on the attendee list. Soren's name was. Damaris's name was. 3 outside investors were listed. I looked at Juno. Why wasn't I notified? That's what I was hoping you'd figure out. I turned the page. There was a signature authorizing the meeting. Soren's signature. I knew his handwriting. His real signature had a long final stroke. This one ended abruptly. It's forged. Juno nodded. I thought so. My phone vibrated. A message from Soren. Please don't interfere tonight. I promise I'll explain tomorrow. I read it twice. Then another message arrived. Whatever you do, don't bring the old charter into the reception hall. I stared at the screen. He knew about the charter. I had not told him I brought it. I looked at Juno. How did my brother know what was in my folder? Before she could answer, footsteps sounded outside the archive door. Juno switched off the light. Someone stopped on the other side. The handle moved.
Once. Twice.
Then a man's voice came through the door. Mara, I know you're in there. Damaris. I held my breath. You should really stop looking for things that don't concern you. The handle moved again. Then he said something that made my hands go cold. Your mother made the same mistake. His footsteps faded. I waited until the corridor was silent. Then Juno whispered, Mara, what did your mother know? I opened the leather folder. Behind the company records was a sealed envelope I had never opened. My mother's handwriting was on the front. For Mara, open only if someone tries to remove you from the table. I looked at the archive door. Then at Juno. For the first time that night, I understood that losing my seat had never been about a chair. Someone had planned to keep me away from a meeting. Someone knew exactly what my mother had left behind. And someone had just made the mistake of telling me to stay out of a room before I even knew what was inside it. The envelope felt heavier than it should have. I held it while Juno watched my face.
Open it, she said.
My mother's handwriting covered the front. For Mara, open only if someone tries to remove you from the table. I slid my thumb beneath the seal. Inside was a folded letter and a photocopy of a corporate agreement. I read the letter first.
Mara,
if you are reading this, someone has decided your presence is inconvenient.
Do not argue with them. Do not sign anything.
Find out who benefits. That was all. I unfolded the photocopy. It was an old shareholder agreement for Quenley Maritime Holdings dated 11 months before my mother died. I knew the document. Or thought I did. A paragraph near the bottom caught my attention. There's a special voting share, I said. Juno leaned closer. What does that mean? It means the ownership percentages aren't the whole story. The agreement referred to something called the Golden Bell share. 1 share. A single voting share with authority over any transaction that transferred controlling interest in the company. I checked the signature page. My mother had signed it. Then I saw the second signature. Damaris Voss. I stopped. Why did he sign this? I don't know, Juno said. I turned the page. The beneficiary of the Golden Bell share was not Damaris. It was me. I read the line twice. My mother gave me veto authority. Can he override it? Not according to this. A knock came from the corridor. Mara? It was Soren. I opened the door. He stood there without his jacket, looking exhausted. His eyes went to the papers in my hand. What did you find? I held up the agreement. Why did you sign a shareholder meeting authorization? His face went pale. I didn't. There is a signature. I know. You told me not to interfere. I know. And you told me not to bring the charter.
He looked away.
I didn't know what Damaris was planning. Then why did you send that message? Soren closed the door. He told me you were going to destroy the company.
I stared at him. What?
He said you were preparing to block a refinancing agreement. There is no refinancing agreement. That's not what he told me. I stepped closer. What exactly did he tell you? Soren rubbed his forehead. He said the company was in trouble. It isn't. He showed me numbers. Did you verify them?
No. Why?
He looked ashamed. Because Vesper was involved. That stopped me. What does Vesper have to do with the company? Soren hesitated. My uncle told me her family would lose everything if the restructuring failed. I understood. So you signed because you thought you were saving her? I signed what I thought was a refinancing authorization. I held up the page. This isn't refinancing. He took the document. What is it? A transfer of controlling interest. He stared at the page. That isn't what I signed. Your signature is here. I know my signature. This isn't mine. I believed him. That frightened me more. Someone had forged my brother's name. At 9:20 p.m., the reception resumed. The band started playing. Damaris approached us. Soren, I need you. Soren didn't move. Not tonight. Damaris looked at me. Mara has been filling your head with nonsense. Soren's voice hardened. Did you forge my signature? Damaris stared at him. Excuse me? Did you? You're tired. Answer me. Vesper appeared behind Damaris. Uncle. Stop. Damaris looked at her. You don't understand what you're risking. I understand enough. He walked away. I watched him cross the room. He wasn't heading toward the bar. He was going to the bridal suite. Vesper followed him. 10 minutes later, she returned alone. Her face had changed. What happened? I asked. My uncle has another contract. What kind? I don't know. You saw it?
Yes.
In his study. She swallowed. He told me Bellwether House was part of the deal. I frowned. The hotel? She nodded. He said it would be used as collateral. Juno stepped forward. That isn't possible. Vesper looked at her. Why? Your family doesn't own this hotel. Vesper stared at her. Then who does? Juno hesitated. The Quenley Family Trust. I felt my stomach tighten. My mother? She transferred it years ago. To whom? Juno looked at me. I don't know. At 10:05 p.m., the coordinator announced a special presentation. Damaris walked onto the stage. Tonight, he said, we celebrate family, trust, and a new chapter for Quenley Maritime. A screen behind him displayed the company logo. Then a document appeared. My name was visible. Damaris pointed toward it. Mara Quenley has been informed of the proposed restructuring. That was a lie. She has chosen not to participate. Soren turned toward me. You didn't agree to this?
No.
Damaris continued. And, because the company must move forward, the remaining shareholders will proceed without her. A few guests applauded. Then the screen changed. A signature appeared beneath the agreement. My signature. I had never signed that document. Soren stared at me. Damaris smiled. For 1 second, I couldn't move. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. Your mother knew this would happen. Check the back of the Golden Bell Agreement. I pulled the document from my folder. My hands were shaking as I turned it over. There was writing on the back. Not my mother's.
A date.
Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. And beneath it, bring the original share. I looked toward Damaris. He was still smiling. I looked at Soren. Did you send that message? He shook his head. Then who did? I don't know. Juno examined the back of the agreement. There is something else. A faint bell-shaped seal appeared beneath the handwriting. My mother's private company seal. I had seen it only once before. On the documents she locked away before she died. Juno whispered, Your mother expected you to be there. I folded the agreement. Then I'll be there. Soren looked toward Damaris. What do we do tonight? I watched him accept congratulations from the guests. We let him think we're scared. Because if Damaris believed his forged signature had worked, he would have no reason to hide his next move. And tomorrow morning, at exactly 8 o'clock, I intended to be in that meeting with the one thing he had spent the entire evening trying to keep away from me. The original Golden Bell share. The room was still applauding when I realized something important. Damaris had made his first mistake in public. He had shown everyone a document carrying my signature. That meant he believed the document would survive scrutiny. At 10:20 p.m., I returned to the archive with Soren, Juno, and Vesper. What did my uncle mean by the remaining shareholders? Vesper asked. I placed the forged agreement on the table. He wants everyone to believe I have withdrawn. Soren frowned. Can he legally do that? Not if the Golden Bell share is valid. And is it? I don't know yet. The agreement required the original share certificate during a disputed transaction. I had never seen it. Then Vesper spoke. My uncle has a safe. We all looked at her. Where? In the bridal suite. At 10:45 p.m., we slipped through the service corridor to the bridal suite. Vesper removed a panel behind the wardrobe. A small metal safe was hidden there. I saw him open it this afternoon, she whispered. What was inside? A blue folder. The wedding date failed. So did Soren's birthday. I asked, what date did Damaris join Quenley Maritime? Juno answered, March 14th, 2009. I entered it. The lock clicked. 3 folders were inside. The first contained loans. The second contained property records. The third was labeled Quenley Control Transfer. The agreement inside was already signed by North Star Meridian LLC. I recognized the name from the hotel schedule. Juno checked the registration. You know this address. It was Damaris's office. Soren stared at me. He's the buyer? Looks like it. The proposed purchase price was less than half the company's verified valuation. This isn't a partnership. No, Juno said. It's an extraction. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. We froze. The door handle moved. Vesper whispered, hide. Soren stepped behind the curtain. Juno went into the bathroom. I stayed beside the wardrobe. The door opened. Damaris entered. He closed the door and locked it. Then he walked straight to the safe. I held my breath. He opened it.
He stopped.
Where is it? He searched the safe again. Then his phone rang. He answered quietly.
No.
The certificate isn't there. He listened. Tomorrow morning. Another pause. If Mara appears, use the withdrawal statement. My heart stopped. He was planning to use the forged document against me. Then he said, if the auditors ask why she wasn't notified, tell them Soren removed her. Soren looked at me from behind the curtain. Damaris ended the call and made another. No, the marriage gives us enough cover. Soren's voting rights will be consolidated after the ceremony. Vesper stiffened. Damaris left. We waited until his footsteps disappeared. Then Soren came out. What did he mean? Vesper was shaking. I don't know. I opened the sealed envelope from the safe. Inside was a copy of Vesper and Soren's prenuptial agreement. I found the clause. If Quenley Maritime entered financial distress during the first year of marriage, Soren's controlling interests could be transferred into a family-managed trust. The trustee? Damaris Voss. Soren stared at the page. He could control my shares. Yes. Vesper covered her mouth. My uncle told me the prenup was standard. It isn't. Then I read the final condition. If the marriage ended before 12 months, the trust provision remained active unless both parties rejected it. He wanted control whether we stayed married or not, Soren said. Vesper began to cry. I didn't know. I believe you, Soren said. That was when I understood the structure of Damaris's plan. He wasn't attacking one person. He had built separate traps for all of us. He had made Soren believe he was protecting Vesper. He had made Vesper believe she was protecting her family. He had made everyone believe I was the problem. While we argued with each other, he would take control of the company. At 11:35 p.m., we returned to the archive. I connected the USB drive. A spreadsheet showed payments from North Star Meridian to Damaris, a lawyer, an accountant, and the hotel coordinator. Then I saw the last name, Soren Quenley. Beside it was a payment of $75,000. I never received that, Soren said. The money had gone to an account registered under his name, but he didn't recognize the account number. Someone had created a second account using his identity. They're setting me up too, he said. Yes. Why? If the transaction fails, they need someone to blame. I looked at the clock. 11:52 p.m. We don't confront him tonight. Why not? Because we don't know how many people are involved. If we expose everything, They can destroy the evidence. Vesper wiped her eyes. So, what do we do? We find the certificate. Where? I remembered the faint bell-shaped seal on the back. Then I saw the tiny number beneath it. Juno suddenly stood. Room 17. The old West Wing was closed for renovation, but Juno opened room 17 with a master key. Inside, a wooden desk stood beneath the window. The drawers were empty. Then I noticed a gap behind the bottom drawer. A metal box was hidden there. Inside was a certificate with gold lettering and a bell-shaped seal. The Golden Bell Share. My name was printed beneath it. Then I turned it over. There was another signature. Not my mother's. Not mine. It was dated 6 months after her death, beside a transfer notation. I looked at Juno. Who signed this? She read the name and went pale. Mara. The signature belonged to Soren. But Soren was standing beside us. He had never seen the certificate. Someone had forged his signature again. And this time, the forgery threatened to make my one legal weapon look completely worthless. The certificate was real. The signature was not. Soren stared at the transfer notation. I never signed this. I know. His signature was convincing, but I had watched him sign documents for years. Soren always crossed his final letter twice. This one had one stroke. Juno locked the door. Put it back.
Why?
Because whoever created that transfer expects the certificate to disappear. At 12:15 a.m., we returned to the archive. I photographed the seal, serial number, and forged transfer, then placed the original certificate in a hotel evidence envelope. Tomorrow, we take this to an independent attorney. Soren looked relieved. Then his phone rang.
Damaris.
Soren answered on speaker. Where are you? Reception hall. Good. I need you to sign something before midnight.
What?
A correction to the shareholder record. Soren looked at me. What correction? Your sister has withdrawn from the company. We need your acknowledgement. Soren laughed once. She hasn't withdrawn. You're confused.
No.
I'm not.
A pause.
Then Damaris said, if you refuse, Vesper's family loses the hotel. The call ended. Vesper went pale. He can't own Bellwether House.
He may not, I said.
But he wants you to believe he does. At 12:40 a.m., Juno found a property transfer from my mother to the Quenley Family Trust. Bellwether House had been transferred into the trust 8 months before her death. The successor trustee was me. I looked at Juno. So Damaris can't pledge the hotel. Not without your authorization. Vesper sat down. He used the hotel to pressure me. Yes. Soren understood. He needed you away from every document.
Exactly.
At 1:10 a.m., I called my mother's independent attorney, Aloan Price. Do you have the original Golden Bell certificate? She asked. Yes. Do not let it leave your possession. I explained the forged transfer. If the share was transferred after your mother's death without proper trustee authorization, she said, the transfer is void. Then why forge Soren's signature? To create a chain of documents and make the final transfer look legitimate. Damaris wasn't relying on one forgery. He was building a paper trail. My supposed withdrawal, Soren's supposed consent, the Golden Bell transfer, and finally the company sale. At 1:45 a.m., Aloan emailed me the documents she needed. The corporate charter, original share certificate, trust agreement, shareholder register, and transaction drafts. I opened the hotel archive system. The shareholder register was missing. Juno searched the cabinet. It was here yesterday. Who had access? Damaris. I checked the security logs. He entered the archive at 6:18 p.m. and left at 6:31. Then another person entered. Vesper Lorne. I turned toward her. Did you take the register?
No.
Then why were you here? I was looking for my uncle's contract. Did you see the register?
Yes.
It was a black binder on the desk. Juno looked at the empty shelf. That was it. We checked the next camera. At 6:49 p.m., a hotel employee entered. His name was Kellen Rusk. I didn't recognize him. Juno did. He's one of Damaris's drivers. At 2:20 a.m., Kellen carried a black binder into the ballroom. I zoomed in. The label read, Quenley's shareholder register.
We have to get it, I said.
Juno grabbed her keys. We entered through the service corridor. The ballroom was almost dark. Damaris stood near the stage. The black binder was in his hand. He wasn't surprised. I wondered when you'd come. Soren stepped forward. Give me the register. Damaris smiled. You still don't understand. Then explain it. You think this is about stealing a company. He opened the binder. This is about preventing the company from being destroyed. By whom? Your mother. That answer stopped me. He pulled out a document. Your mother left liabilities. I read the page. It listed millions in obligations. Damaris watched me. She hid them from you. Soren looked at me. Is that true? I don't know. He handed me the paper. At the bottom was my mother's signature. The liabilities were real, but something was wrong. The dates. Every obligation had been recorded after my mother's death. I looked up. These aren't hers. Damaris's smile disappeared. You're mistaken.
No.
This lender wasn't incorporated until 6 months after she died. Juno stepped closer. She is right. Damaris closed the binder. You're making a serious accusation. So are you. I held up my phone. I have copies of everything. He studied me, then smiled again. You should ask yourself why your brother's name appears on the next page. Soren stepped forward. What page? Damaris opened the binder. There was a loan authorization bearing Soren's signature. I never signed that. Damaris looked at me. Then perhaps your brother has been lying to you. Before I could answer, the ballroom doors opened. Eloan Price walked in. She looked at the document. Then she said, That's not Soren Quenley's signature. Damaris's face changed. Eloan held up a sealed envelope. I have the original signature specimen. She looked at me. Mara, we need to talk privately. I followed her into the corridor. She opened it. Inside was a document my mother had signed shortly before her death. If Damaris Voss attempts to obtain control of Quenley Maritime Holdings, the Golden Bell share shall be activated immediately, and all disputed transfers shall be suspended pending independent review. I stared at the page. Why didn't my mother tell me? What stopped her? Eloan's expression hardened. She discovered someone inside the company was giving Damaris confidential records. Who? I don't know. She lowered her voice. But your mother wrote down one name. She turned the page. There it was. Not Damaris. Not Soren. Not Vesper. A name I recognized immediately. Someone who had been sitting at the family table all evening. And if my mother had been right, that person had been helping Damaris long before my wedding invitation ever arrived. The name on my mother's list was Orleve. I knew her. Everyone at the wedding knew her. She was Soren's financial advisor, the woman who had handled his investments since he graduated from college. She had also been sitting at our family table that evening. For the first time, the missing chair made sense. It wasn't just my chair. Orla had been sitting exactly where I should have been sitting. Eloan watched my expression. You know her? Yes. Trust her. I looked through the glass toward the ballroom. Orla was speaking to Vesper's father.
No.
Eloan folded the document. Your mother suspected she was passing information to Damaris. Did she have proof? Not enough to act. Why? Because every document she found could be explained as ordinary financial work. I looked at the page again. My mother's note contained one sentence beneath Orla's name. Watch the person who always knows what I am about to do. I remembered Orla at the wedding. She had known I was bringing the charter. She had known Soren would ask me to leave the family table. She had known Damaris was holding a shareholder meeting. She had known the company was being presented as a refinancing. Too many details. I turned to Eloan. Where is Orla now? Find out. At 2:50 a.m., I returned to the ballroom.
Orla was gone. Her coat was gone too.
Soren was checking his phone. What happened? Orla left. When? About 10 minutes ago. I looked toward the hotel entrance. Did she say where she was going? She said she needed to make a call. Vesper walked over. She left with Damaris. That was enough. I called Juno. Can you access the parking cameras? Give me a minute. She called back. Damaris's car left at 2:43. Where did they go? I don't know yet. Track the hotel exit. A few seconds later, Juno said, they didn't leave through the main entrance. What? They used the old service road. I knew that road. It led to a private boathouse on the other side of the lake. At 3:15 a.m., Soren and I drove there. Vesper stayed at the hotel with Aloan. The road was narrow and unlit. When we reached the boathouse, Damaris's car was parked outside. The building was dark. Soren reached for the door. I stopped him. Wait. A light moved behind the windows. Someone was inside. We entered through the side door. Damaris stood beside a table. Orla was across from him. Between them was the black shareholder register. Damaris looked at us. You really don't know when to stop. Orla turned. Her face had gone pale. Soren stepped forward. You lied to me. Orla shook her head. I never wanted this. Damaris laughed. You wanted the same thing I wanted.
No.
You wanted protection. Her expression changed. I understood. Protection from what? Orla looked at me. My father. I waited. She explained. Her father had been a former director of Quenley Maritime. Years earlier, he had been removed from the company after diverting funds. Orla had spent years trying to repair his reputation. Damaris knew about it. He threatened to expose my father again, she said. And you gave him information. I only gave him financial projections. You gave him private records. I thought he was refinancing the company. You knew about the buyer. She lowered her head. I learned that tonight. Damaris interrupted. She knew enough. I looked at him. And you knew she would be blamed if this failed. He smiled. That depends on what the evidence says. I understood his final plan. He wasn't only stealing the company. He was creating witnesses who could be blamed afterward. Orla would be accused of leaking information. Soren would be accused of approving the loans. I would be accused of withdrawing. Vesper would be accused of hiding the family's financial condition. Damaris would walk away as the person who had supposedly tried to save everyone. Except he had made one mistake. He had brought the register to a place where there were no witnesses he controlled. I took out my phone. I recorded everything. Damaris stared at me. You can't record a private conversation. I don't need to use the recording. I held up the camera. I only needed to see you holding the original register. He looked at the document. Then at me. Give me your phone.
No.
He moved toward me. Soren stepped between us. Don't. Damaris stopped. Then he smiled. You think you're safe because you have a recording?
No.
I pointed at the register. We're safe because you just admitted possession of company records you weren't authorized to remove. Orla looked at Damaris. You told me the register was yours. He turned on her. You were supposed to keep her away from this. Orla's face hardened. You used me. Yes. He said it without hesitation. That was his second mistake. At 3:40 a.m., we returned to Bellwether House. Aloan had already contacted the company's independent counsel. The attorney reviewed the documents and immediately issued a preservation notice. No one could destroy or alter the disputed records. At 4:20 a.m., something unexpected happened. Soren received an email. The sender was Damaris's accountant. Attached was a complete copy of the transaction plan. It showed the proposed buyer, Northstar Meridian LLC. It showed the purchase price. It showed Damaris's personal debt. And it showed something I had not seen before. A second payment. Not to Damaris. To Orla. $180,000. I looked at her. She started crying. I didn't know what it was for. Did you receive it? Yes. Did you spend it?
No.
Where is it? She reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. I transferred it back tonight. That changed everything. The payment had been returned at 3:01 a.m. There was a bank confirmation. Orla had not accepted the money. She had realized what Damaris was doing and tried to reverse it. But the next page contained something worse. A payment of $75,000 had been sent to an account under Soren's name. Soren looked at it. That isn't my account. Aloan examined the routing information. This account was opened using an old identity document. I looked at Soren. Who had access to that? He thought for several seconds. Orla. Orla closed her eyes. I never opened it. Then someone used your system. She nodded. I had access to Soren's investment records. That meant Damaris had used Orla's credentials to create a false payment trail. He had planned to make it look as though Soren had accepted money to approve the transfer. I finally saw the complete picture. Damaris wanted the company. Orla wanted to protect her father. Soren wanted to protect Vesper. I wanted to protect my mother's records. Everyone had been pushed into separate corners. Damaris was counting on us fighting each other. But now we were standing on the same side. At 6:30 a.m., the legal team assembled in the hotel's conference room. Damaris did not attend. He sent his lawyer instead. The lawyer presented the same forged withdrawal statement. Mara Quenley voluntarily removed herself from the transaction. Eloan placed the original Golden Bell share on the table.
No.
The lawyer looked at it. That certificate was transferred. The transfer is forged. You have evidence? I handed over the signature analysis. Then the original charter. Then my mother's activation clause. Then the bank records. Then the security footage showing Damaris removing the shareholder register. The lawyer became silent. Finally, he asked, "Where is Mr. Voss?" I looked at the clock. 7:42 a.m. He knows the meeting starts at 8. At 7:55, Damaris entered. He looked calm.
Too calm.
He placed his briefcase on the table. Then he said something that made everyone stop. I have one document you haven't seen. He opened the briefcase. Inside was an original-looking agreement. He slid it toward us. This proves your mother transferred the Golden Bell share before she died. I picked it up. The signature looked authentic. The seal looked authentic. The date was correct. For a moment, even Eloan looked uncertain. Damaris smiled. You see, Mara, you were never the owner. I read the final line. Then I noticed the witness name. My heart stopped. Because the witness was my mother. And my mother had been in the hospital on that exact date. She could not have signed it. But Damaris had one more surprise. He turned towards Soren. Ask your sister what she did with the original. Everyone looked at me. I slowly raised my eyes from the document. I know this signature is fake. Damaris smiled. Prove it. I looked at Eloan. She was already staring at the date. Then she whispered 4 words. We have her hospital record. Damaris's smile disappeared. But before anyone could respond, my phone rang. It was Juno. Her voice was urgent. Mara, you need to come downstairs. Why? I found the original document. I froze. The original what? The transfer agreement.
She paused.
And Mara, what? It isn't in Damaris's office. Where is it? Juno took a breath. It was hidden inside the wall behind your old family table. The same table where my brother had taken away my seat. The same room where Damaris had told me to stand near the wall. And suddenly I realized the wall had never been a place to hide me. It had been the place someone had hidden the evidence. The document was hidden inside the wall behind my family table. Nobody moved. Then I ran. Soren followed me through the corridor, with Eloan and Juno close behind. Juno pushed a loose panel. A small compartment opened. Inside was a sealed envelope. My name was written across it. Mara Quenley. Damaris appeared at the entrance. You shouldn't open that. Then you shouldn't have hidden it. I broke the seal. Inside was my mother's handwritten statement, dated 3 weeks before her death. She wrote that Damaris had tried to acquire Quenley Maritime and pressure her into transferring the Golden Bell share. She refused. Then came the part that made my hands shake. My mother had discovered someone was creating false documents in her name and had hidden the originals behind the family table. Damaris stepped forward. Anyone could have written that. Eloan showed him the hospital record. My mother had been admitted that morning. The transfer agreement carried the same date, proving the signature could not be hers. Damaris said nothing. Then Juno found another envelope. Inside were bank records showing payments to a company registered to Orla's father. My mother had listed Orla's name in the note I found the previous night. Orlov went pale. He told me my father was being investigated. Damaris said, She knew exactly what she was doing. Orla turned toward him. You threatened my father. At 8:05 a.m., the independent attorneys entered. The shareholder meeting began. Damaris's lawyer objected, but Eloan placed the original Golden Bell share on the table. It does now. The lawyer examined it. The transfer is disputed? Correct. And the buyer is a related entity, while the controlling shareholder was not properly notified? Yes. He closed his file. I need to speak with my client. Damaris shook his head. We're continuing. His lawyer looked at him. No, we're not. For the first time, even his own attorney had stopped defending him. By 9:30, the board had suspended the transaction, appointed an independent auditor, frozen Damaris's access, and notified his lender. Damaris looked at me. You think you've won. This isn't a game. You don't know what your mother left behind. Then security entered and escorted him from the room. I waited until the door closed. What didn't you tell me? Eloan took a slow breath. Your mother didn't create the Golden Bell share only to protect the company from Damaris. Then why? To protect it from you and Soren. I frowned. It will make sense. She opened a file. Your mother knew you and Soren could one day disagree. She wanted neither of you to have unilateral control. So, she gave me the Golden Bell share? Yes. Because you were the only one who never wanted to run the company. Eloan showed me another clause. If the Golden Bell share blocked a controlling transaction, the company had to undergo an independent governance review. So, even I can't control it. Correct. Soren looked at me. That sounds like Mom. It did. By noon, the guests knew Damaris had tried to acquire the company and the transaction had been cancelled. The ceremony had been delayed, not cancelled. At 2 p.m., Soren and Vesper finally stood before their guests. I sat in the front row. My place card was there, Mara Quenley. Afterward, Soren found me outside. I was scared of losing everything. You almost did. I know. 3 months later, the audit confirmed Quenley Maritime was solvent. The sale was permanently cancelled, and Damaris's lenders called in his personal guarantees. The forged documents entered the legal case. Soren and Vesper stayed married, and Bellwether House remained in the family trust. I used the Golden Bell share, as my mother intended. No single person would ever again control Quenley Maritime through a private agreement. Soren became operations director. Vesper joined the board, and major transactions required review. A year later, Juno gave me the original seating chart. My name was missing. Beneath it she had written, "You were never supposed to belong at the wall." He thought humiliation would make me leave. Instead, it made me look closer. He thought removing my chair would remove my authority. Instead, he put me beside the wall where the evidence was hidden. He thought Soren, Vesper, and Orla would remain useful to him. Instead, they became witnesses against him. My mother had already prepared for the day someone would try to take what she built. My brother later bought 6 chairs. I kept one. The rest went to the company conference room. I placed a sign above them. Read before you sign. You can take someone's seat and tell them to stand near the wall. But if they stay calm long enough to see what you are hiding, the chair may be the least important thing you ever took from them. The wedding started with me against a wall. It ended with me deciding where I belonged. Nobody else got to choose.